Question number 8. State the differences between displacement and double displacement reaction. Here we have to write about the displacement reaction and double displacement reaction, and we have to mention the difference between them. So what is displacement reaction? It is a chemical reaction in which more reactive element displace less reactive element in a chemical reaction. In the chemical reaction, the element which is more reactive displaces less reactive element from the compound. Now let us write what is displacement reaction. Displacement reaction is a chemical reaction in which more reactive element displaces less reactive element in a chemical reaction. And example you can give. What is the example? Iron reacts with copper sulfate, gives FeSO4, means iron sulfate plus Cu. Here iron Fe reacts with copper sulfate. Copper sulfate is a compound and Fe is a element. And what is the element present in the compound copper sulfate? That is Cu. Cu is present in copper sulfate, and Fe is more reactive than Cu. So Fe displaces Cu from CuSO4, gives FeSO4, and copper separates as a element. Here what is displaced by what? Fe replaces or Fe displaces copper from the copper sulfate, and the new compounds is here FeSO4, and the element produced is copper. So this is an example for the displacement reaction. Then what is double displacement reaction? It is a chemical reaction in which exchange of ions takes place between two ionic substances in a chemical reaction. Here what is double displacement? Exchange of ions takes place. It is a chemical reaction in which exchange of ions takes place. Positive ion of one compound is displaced by the positive ion of the another compound, and negative ion of one compound is displaced by the negative ion of the other compound. So let us write what is double displacement reaction. That is, exchange of ions takes place between two ionic substances in a chemical reaction. It is a chemical reaction in which exchange of ions takes place. Double displacement reaction is a chemical reaction in which exchange of ions takes place between two ionic substances. So example you can give. Barium chloride reacts with sodium sulfate, BaCl2 plus Na2SO4, gives BaSO4, barium sulfate plus sodium chloride. Here barium chloride reacts with sodium sulfate. BaCl2 is the molecular formula of barium chloride. Na2SO4 is the molecular formula of sodium sulfate. When barium chloride reacts with sodium sulfate, the new compounds formed are barium sulfate, BaSO4, and NaCl, sodium chloride. Here you observe, in BaCl2, Ba is the positive ion. In Na2SO4, Na is the positive ion. Here barium and sodium ions exchanged. Here in the place of sodium ion, barium comes, and in the place of barium ion, sodium ion comes. So here barium ions and sodium ions are exchanged. Again you observe the negative ions, chloride ion and sulfate ions. Both of them are negative ions. Here chlorine ions means chloride ions exchange with sulfate ions. See here exchange of negative ions also takes place. Barium chloride becomes barium sulfate and sodium sulfate becomes sodium chloride. In this way, exchange of positive ions and exchange of negative ions takes place in the double displacement reaction. Now the ninth question, define corrosion with example. What is corrosion? It is a process in which metals are deteriorated by the action of air, moisture and chemicals. So one example you can give, the rusting of metals, rusting of iron. So what is corrosion? Corrosion is a process in which metals are deteriorated by the action of air, action of moisture and action of chemicals, etc. So let us write the answer. What is corrosion? Corrosion is a process which metals are deteriorated by the action of air, moisture, chemicals, etc. So what is corrosion? It is a process which metals are deteriorated by the action of air, moisture, chemicals, etc. It is a process in which metals are deteriorated by the action of air, moisture, chemicals, etc. Example you can give, rusting of iron. So corrosion is a process in which metals are deteriorated by the action of air, moisture, chemicals, etc. Example is rusting of iron. Question number 10. How will you recognize the corrosion of silver? How will you recognize the corrosion of silver? You may see that silver turns black as it reacts with hydrogen sulfide present in the air. In this way, you can recognize the corrosion of silver. So, silver turns black when it reacts with the hydrogen sulfide. That is, silver sulfide will be formed. That is a layer of silver sulfide. So, let us write. Silver turns black as it reacts with hydrogen sulfide present in the air and forms a layer of silver sulfide. That is nothing but the corrosion of silver. Next you take the 11th question. What is that 11th question? How can we prevent the corrosion of iron? So you can paint the iron article. By painting you can prevent the corrosion of iron. Or otherwise you can give the coating of other metal also. So one of the method is painting of iron article. So you write how you can prevent the corrosion of iron. That is by painting the iron articles. So write the answer. What is the answer? By painting of iron articles.